You go there, you work hard, really hard.
Yeah.
It can be unpleasant with the weather.
Yeah.
And so, but you get in a lot of money, and boy, that really works well for a lot of us. Hi everyone, welcome back to my next video. What we're going to see today is a conversation I had with the people who do the hiring at the beet harvest next September, October. And so we shot this a while ago before this whole thing came up with the social isolation. And I wasn't sure that they would still want me to put it out, so I contacted them and they said yes. We still have full plans for the beet harvest coming up. And I know a lot of you are at risk of losing your jobs now, particularly who knows what's going to happen with the campground. So if you're looking for a job to get through 2020, or in the future, if you're watching this in 2021 or later, lots of good information here about working at the beet harvest. Something you should give serious thought to and follow through on. So let's watch the video, and just be aware that this is still available to you in April of 2020 as of now. So also let them know if you do apply that I sent you, and they'll send me a nice little teeny tiny check, but I'll be glad to have it. So let's watch the video. Hi everyone, welcome back to my next video. Today we're going to meet Alyssa, who works for Express
Employment Professionals.
And who do you hire? You hire lots of people, I'm sure, but who do you hire?
So we are looking for people to work the fall sugar beet harvest for American Crystal Sugar, Sydney Sugars, and Michigan Sugar.
So we're talking today about working for the beet harvest with the people that do the hiring. So we'll try to answer all your questions that you may have about working there. I'm sure you have many, and you've heard a lot of things about it. And so let's just go through that. Alyssa, when does this job happen?
So we've got 3 different harvests that we hire for, and so we have to keep that in mind first off. The Sydney Sugars and the American Crystal Sugar that happen in North Dakota, Minnesota, and Montana generally start October 1st and are about 10 to 15 working days, and we usually bring our work campers in the last week of September. For Michigan Sugar, we just started that last year. This will be our first season with work campers. That season generally starts towards the end of October. So we would bring our work campers in about mid-October to get them set up and ready to go for Michigan Sugar. And that one is a 21 working day season.
Well, that's a very long one.
Yeah.
So if it starts at the end of October, it would go into November.
Yep. The temperatures over there are actually generally milder compared to the temperatures in North Dakota during the same time. So their sugar beet harvest is a little bit later because of that.
Would it be possible to stagger them and go from one to the other?
That's definitely what we have in mind. If everything works out and our American Crystal Sugar and Sydney Sugar season runs accordingly and we don't have any weather delays, people would be able to complete here and would be able to transfer over to Michigan Sugar.
Right. And so why would people consider, I mean, it's a short season, they're driving a fair distance out of their way to get there. Why would people think about working at the sugar beet harvest?
That's a great question. So one of the things that we pride ourselves on is providing an unbeatable experience. So we're always thinking of new ways to provide a good experience to our work campers. Our unemployment rate averages between 2% and 3% in our region. So we need work campers in order to complete the job and the task at hand. We're looking for over 1,500 workers. So about 800 of those workers are work campers, and the rest are all our local population. So it's good money in a short amount of time. We're not keeping you here for, or trying to keep you here for 2-3 months at a time. It's generally you're working 10 to 15 working days, and then hopefully you're out if we have no weather-related shutdowns. So it's good money in a quick amount of time. And then we also provide the camp space for free. So there's no you pay for it and we pay you back. It's we take care of your reservation, we pay for the campground up front, and then you're there for the duration of your stay. We pay for it 2 days, 24 hours past your end time. Like, so when you finish, you can stay in the campground for an additional 24 hours to catch up on sleep, get stuff together before you need to be out. And then we also, if there's a honey wagon that needs to be provided, like say we can't provide a full hookup service, we provide the honey wagon at no additional charge. We make that reservation as well. It comes around 2 times a week. And then we also provide water in case, it can get cold here. Things can get turned off, which includes the water. And so we also provide a water truck at no service, no charge. And we do make the reservations for that as well. And we take care of everything. So we hope that people come up, make really good friendships, meet a lot of great people. We have so many people that connect with each other. I can tell you, I think we've had 2 or 3 people get married since I've worked here during the sugar beet harvest. So not to say we're a matchmaking service, but people come up, they make a lot of friendships, they meet a lot of people, and then they make a good amount of money in a short amount of time, and then can move on to those other opportunities like Amazon, or go home to their family for Christmas. We have that ability that we don't keep people during the holiday season.
So really, it's all going to come down to money. People are. I want to talk about the work I want people to be really aware of what the work is. But before they put up with that, what do you pay?
So I will give you last year's pay rates because this year's pay rates have not been official yet. But it'll be based off of last year, and generally there is somewhat of a raise. There's just nothing set in stone right now, so I'll give you last year's pay rates. So in Sidney, Montana, based on the position is what is going to be the pay rate is based on. So for a helper sample taker, which are what most people will be working, it's the individual down on the ground taking samples, kind of that general labor position. That one, the pay rate starts at $15.29 an hour.
That's good pay.
Yep. And so the first 8 hours of each day are regular time. The last 4 of each day are time and a half. And then Saturday and Sunday is time and a half all day, as long as you don't miss your Monday through Friday shift.
Right.
And then, we have skilled positions such as a skid steer operator. The skid steer operator out there makes a little bit more at $16.99 an hour.
So it's good pay, and then when you add in the overtime, it ends up being just a lot of money coming in really fast is the bottom line. And that's what I think the appeal to is for most people. You go there, you work hard, really hard.
Yeah.
It can be unpleasant with the weather.
Yeah.
And so, but you get in a lot of money, and boy, that really works well for a lot of us.
Right.
Any idea off the top of your head what the average person makes over the life of your operations?
Sure. So, it varies a lot because it's going to be dependent on position and how many people are in each rig. But generally, our baseline is $2,500 for 2 weeks worth of work. So if you're working each day, you qualify for the premium pay, 2 weeks worth of work will get you $2,500. And then on top of what you would receive for your bonus if you qualify for a bonus.
And how do the bonuses work?
So the bonuses are, so for American Crystal Sugar and Sydney Sugar, because it is separate from Michigan, the bonus is 5% gross wages. It's based on your gross wages. So 5% of your gross wages for new hires and 10% of your gross wages for rehires.
Okay, so that'd be $250 if it was 10% and you made $2,500.
Yep, and if you weren't, if you were in a higher or skilled or higher paying position, obviously it's going to be a little bit more. Right.
I knew someone who went and she had no experience, but she was just a really competent person, and they put her running the piler.
Okay. Yeah.
And so she made more as a piler. Of course, she was in a warm, heated thing too. And so, any idea off the top of your head what that would make? the person who runs the piler? I think it was like $1 more an hour or something.
So for in Sydney, there is no differential between, you know, the operator. In America, at American Crystal Sugar, again, they're together, but they're separate. So what we in American Crystal Sugar, we have what's called a new hire. It's somebody who hasn't worked the harvest last year. They're new to the harvest. Their pay rate starts at $14.06 an hour. Then we have what's called a rehire. So it's kind of, you know, an additional little bit of money to incent people to come back each year. The rehire rate is $15.97 an hour. And then the operator rate is $16.74.
Wow.
Yep. So it's up a little bit more. You know, the thing is that those operators, they do get paid more. And yes, not everybody gets to be in a warm cabin. Some of them don't always have the ability to close the door or don't have windows, but their responsibility is keeping track of the crew, you know, piling those beets, operating that machine, being aware of their surroundings. So their position requires a lot of attention to detail and just awareness and making sure that everything is running safe.
I'd like to just answer the questions that are most on people's minds. So, you know, we're kind of leading logically, although not directly, with that in mind. One of the problems that we're running into is a lot of us are in vans and we're not in RVs.
Sure.
And people are hearing, and I believe it's true, that there are places where if you're in a van, they won't hire you because the RV parks won't take them. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, that's a great question. Before we get too deep into that, I would like to say that we accept solos, couples, groups. We don't not accept anybody just because you're a solo. If you're a solo, if you're in a group, if you're traveling with your friends, please apply. We'd be happy to see what we could do. But so that's a great question. We do allow vans and we allow conversions. We allow conversion school buses, vans. We've seen people convert like regular trailers into kind of a travel trailer that they pull behind their vehicle. The only stipulation to that, and I'm going to read it to you, we have what's called a harvest checklist, and it's 4 pages long, and we go over this with each individual that applies. Rehire, new hire, it doesn't matter. And so that's one of the things that we talk about, and I'm going to read it to you right from our sheet. So if you have a custom converted van, bus, trailer, or other vehicle, we do require photos confirming it meets Class B requirements. Your rig must accommodate the following: a bed, sink, stove, refrigerator, and table. We also need to confirm that you have a heat source. These photos are required before we can move forward in the hiring process. And that is because, you know, we've had people show up in their vehicles thinking that they would sleep in the back of their car. And if the weather turns sour really, really fast, it's not safe for those individuals. Like last year, we experienced a lot of cold weather, a lot of rain and precipitation. It was just cold all around. And for the safety of our employees, that is why we require people to send photos to ensure that they have a heat source, a bed, sink, stove. We don't want people just showing up thinking that they can sleep in the back of their vehicle. It's not safe.
Okay, but those are pretty reasonable requirements. You're not requiring a toilet and a black tank.
No. So we generally put people that have conversions that don't have access to bathrooms or showers in a campground that will provide that to them.
Very good. So that's, most of us can meet those qualifications pretty easily. It eliminates cars, but it should eliminate cars. You barely can survive in a car in North Dakota, Montana at that time of the year. Well,
Yeah.
It could be unusually warm, but let's talk a little bit about weather now, because that's a natural lead in. If it's too warm, you don't work. Is that correct?
Correct. If the beets get if the beet root itself gets too warm, those beets can't be piled. Also, in turn, if the beet root gets too cold, we can't pile those beets because they could end up spoiling the rest of the beets that are in the pile. So now generally it has to get above like 60, 65 degrees in order for it to be too hot to pile. Of course, depending on what time of day it is and if it's sunny or if it's cloudy, there's a lot that goes into it. So there are times where it's too hot to pile and that it's too cold to pile. So it's Mother Nature throwing whatever she can at us.
Right. Right. And what about at the other end on the cold?
So if the beets freeze, so we have what's called, if it gets too cold, if we start to see the freezing point coming into the forecast, what they'll do is they'll put people in what we call chop stands, where they'll actually take off the top of the beet to see if the beet is frozen. If beets start coming in frozen, then we do have to shut down, because we can't always accept frozen beets, again, because they can rot the pile.
Okay, very good. So it's the limited range of temperature is really the one big problem with the beet harvest, is you go there and it's completely out of everyone's control. It could
Correct.
be hot, it could be cold.
Yeah, just the weather in general. And don't let, I would hope that it doesn't scare people, because the weather is what it is. Generally, our fall is pretty mild. It's in the 40s and 50s. Last year was an anomaly. The precipitation that we received, we had a lot of flooding. We had a lot of farmers that never got into the fields to get their beets out just because of the weather. It affected everybody. But we're hoping that this year, Mother Nature has got it out of our system, and that we're going to have a good and quick harvest this year.
Good, good, good. Okay, so I think we've covered the major questions people have and that have come up. So tell us now about the work itself. I get there, what am I going to be doing, and any special requirements for my being able to work in it?
Sure. So I'm actually going to kind of start and go back all the way to when you first inquire about the beet harvest and what we do and what our entire process is, because that kind of sets the stage for what you do when you get here. So after you apply, Bob, if you want to apply, I can definitely send you the link to our website.
Oh, good.
And so you'll go.
We haven't given links. Let's give links. I'm sorry. Let's give those out right now before we forget again.
Okay, so if you're interested in signing up for the beet harvest, you can give us a call at 888-791-6738. You can also apply online and check out our website at www.theunbeatableexperience.com. And if you're interested in Michigan, it's michiganbeetharvest.com. And you can call us there at 855-691-2338. So once you apply online, one of our liaisons will be in touch with you. What we'll do is we'll review your application, discuss your RV and what type of, if you meet the Class B, or what kind of rig that you have, if you need bathrooms and showers, if you're traveling with pets, if you're traveling with family, just essentially just reviewing everything with you. And then we review the checklist and make sure that everybody is completely educated on what the harvest is, what it all entails, what we provide, and what we ask of you. We do ask for a commitment until October 31st, because what we have seen, with the weather, is that it's delayed us. So we ask for a commitment of October 31st. Once the individual or couple has decided that it is something that they'd like to continue with, we then follow up with them every 30 to 45 days to maintain a regular contact with our associates. We send out newsletters, emails. We're super active on our social media pages, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Follow us. And then in July and August, we start to give people their arrival information. So that call is to set up what campground they're going to, what days they should arrive, and what time their office orientation is at. When you get into the area, you'll be able to go straight to your campground, get parked, get set up, and then you'll go into the office that following either afternoon or day to complete your hiring paperwork. So like your W-4, your I-9. Then you'll also watch a safety orientation video. Now, if you do that orientation and you work the beet harvest, then you get paid 2 hours for that time that you spent in the office doing the orientation. So once you're orientated, you'll get sent out on site to do at least a 4-hour training of the helper sample taker position. And then you'll be assigned to a piling site and a shift. And then we will get started. So most people will start out as a helper sample taker. That is the person that's on the ground, directing trucks, shoveling beets, cleaning and maintaining their area. It is considered a general labor light industrial position. You do have to be able to lift a minimum of 25 pounds and be on your feet regularly. One of the hardest things we hear about it is that being on their feet for 12 hours. So these are 12-hour shifts. We have an 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and an 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. Now in Michigan, it's a little bit different. Those shifts are average of 9 hours, but could work up to 12 hours. And those stagger throughout the entire day. So those are a little different shift times. But in the valley here, or Red River Valley or American Crystal, it's 8 to 8. So being on your feet for 12 hours. If you're on a night shift, obviously the temperature drops during the evening, so it can get pretty chilly. And in the daytime, you risk being shut down due to heat. So, I mean, there's a risk when we talk about temperature. Again, we could be shut down on nights and shut down on days due to one factor or the other, just depending on how the weather decides to cooperate with us. So the helper sample taker position is what our conditional job offer is. If you are interested in working the sugar beet harvest, you will be offered a position as a helper sample taker. We also have skilled positions. We have our piler operator, which we talked about earlier. That is the individual that is operating the machine, piling those beets, being aware of the trucks that are coming in, and essentially dumping the trucks when they come into the piler itself. And then we have skid steer, which we kind of hit on earlier. That individual is responsible for laying culverts in the actual pile itself, and those vents are used to cool the piles quicker so that they set better and they freeze better so that they can be processed later. So those are generally our bigger piles, so that we can cool them down faster so that they make it through storage to be processed. And so that individual is paid a little bit more, and their responsibility is, they have to cruise around with these vents attached to their skid steer and lay all these pipes within the piles as people are taking samples and trucks are coming in and out. So they have a high responsibility as well. So for that position, we require people to be experienced, and we ask that they put that in their application to let us know what kind of experience they have. And then upon arrival, they will be sent to an audition where they can audition for the skid steer position. And if they audition well, then American Crystal Sugar has the ability to select them as a skid steer person.
Folks, I hope you got something out of this video. I hope you've at least learned and you have a much better informed knowledge about the beet harvest. For some of you, it's the perfect thing and you should go and apply. And for some of you, it really isn't. Maybe it isn't just something you would consider. But Alyssa, thank you so much for your honesty and letting people know. You don't want people to come there and just find out it's not for them. So thank you very much.
And thank you.
So folks, thank you so much for watching this video. If you got anything out of us, like us on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, hit that thumbs up button, and we'll talk to you later.
patreon.com/cheaprvliving. We appreciate your support and hope to see you down the road.